Before I go into this teaching, this will be the book of Samuel, part 45, and then we'll be taking the text from 2 Samuel, chapter 14, from verse 1. Before I go into this, I would like to refer to something that happened in the previous, in some of the chapters that we have done before. When David was mourning for Abner. If you can still remember, David made a statement. He said, "You die the death of a fool." He said, "Your hands were not tied, your feet were not bound, but you still die." So you begin to wonder, if you look at that statement of David, you are wondering, is this man really mourning Abner? Or is he making jest of him? Now, you see, that statement was actually a statement of pain. Now, what does it really mean? Or why did he say that? Now, to die the death of fool. Now, he was explaining why he made that statement. He said, Abner died the death of a fool because his hands were not bound. Now, the reason he said that was because he knew Abner to be a warrior. He knew Abner to be a man of war. So he was wondering, how could you just allow Joab to kill you like that? Your hands were not bound. Can't you defend yourself? Are you getting what I'm saying? So a warrior is not expected to die like that. That was why David was referring to Abner as a fool. He says, you died the death of a fool. Your hands were not bound. So he was wondering how Joab could even kill. Are you there? At least if nobody dies, at least Abner should be able to escape, being a man of war. So, David was so confused while he was mourning Abner, and he had no choice than to make that statement. Do you understand now? Because I just felt I need to explain this, because if you read that place, you may be confused. Why is David referring to Abner as a fool? For a warrior, there's a way warriors die. But I want to tell you, you see, when you begin to love people, you see, the weak point of a strong man is in his ability to love. Everyone you love becomes your weak point. Let me give you an example. You see, the proof that you love a person is that that person has become your weak point. For instance, if you love your mentor now, I know I have people that I disciple by the grace of God. Now, are you there? If I am discipling you and you love me, now because of the love that you have for me, I will become your weak point. You will now suddenly, you may not even know that you really love me to that extent. You will now suddenly discover that you were in a place and somebody is talking down, somebody is talking, or something, against me. Somebody is saying something. Maybe somebody is saying that man, that pastor is a stupid man. Suddenly you discover that because you heard that word, he is a stupid man, you just suddenly get angry. You don't even know why you are angry, but you suddenly get pissed off. If there are people that you can talk to, you see yourself scolding, don't say that again. Don't. And if there are people that are older than you, you see yourself walking away from that space. You feel, I cannot stay here. What's the meaning of this nonsense? Now, the reason you are reacting like that is because of the love that you have for those people. Are you getting what I'm saying? For God so loved the world that he gave. This was the mystery that the devil knew. And that was why he has chosen to afflict men. Why? He knows that the more he afflicts people, the more he breaks the heart of God. Because man, by the virtue of the love that God has for man has now become God's weak point. Are you getting what I'm saying? All right, let's go to this study so that we'll know. I know somebody is blessed already. So, you may begin to wonder, did I love this person? Don't worry. Just check. Has the person become your weak point? If no, then maybe the love is just growing. You have not really loved the person. 2 Samuel chapter 14 from verse 1. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, perceived that the king's heart was towards Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, Feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil, but be as a woman that had a long time mourned for the dead, and come to the king and speak on this manner unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. Can you see that? Joab looked at the king and he discovered that King David have been longing for Absalom. In his mind, it was like, this Absalom committed a crime. I know he's your son, your biological son, but this Absalom committed a crime. And now this King David is still, what kind of king is this one? Somebody killed another son. Are you there? Absalom is the biological son of David. This, the person that died here is also the biological son. Now look at this. Absalom killed Amnon. Amnon is David's biological son. Absalom is also David's biological son. Are you getting what I'm saying? So when Absalom killed Amnon, Absalom ran away because he was afraid. I don't know what my daddy will do. After some time that David, I had not seen Absalom around, he now began to long to see him. Let my son come. At least I'm okay. I will not do anything. Just let my son come. I want to see my son. I want to see. That was what Joab saw. He now went to this woman and said, come, please come. I will tell you what to say. Come and act before the king. Are you there? He said, don't worry. When you come, don't anoint yourself. Just act like something bad has happened to you. Let's continue and let's see what happens. And when the woman of Tekoa spake to the king, she fell on her face. Please take note. Joab said, I will put words in your mouth. What does that mean? That means everything this woman will be saying to the king is according to what Joab told her to say. Because the one that puts words in your mouth is the one that controls what you say. Please take note of that. And when the woman of Tekoa spake to the king, she fell on her face to the ground and did obeisance and said, help, O king. And the king said unto her, what aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and my husband is dead. And thy handmaid had 2 sons, and they strove together in the field, and there was none to part them, but one smote the other and slew him. And behold, the whole family is risen against thy handmaid. And they said, deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him for the life of his brother whom he slew, and we will destroy the heir also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth. So when this woman came to the king, she just cooked up a story based on what Joab told her to do. He said, well, I have 2 sons, 2 of them were fighting, so one killed the other, and the other one now that is alive, and my people are requesting to also kill that one too. But king, now, if that one dies, I'll become, I'll become barren, I will not have any child again. That was the story they were cooking up. If you look at this story, it looks like what just happened to the king. Are you there? Though the king still had other sons. But this story is looking like what happened to the king. Now let's continue. Let's see what they want to achieve from here. And the king said unto the woman, go to thy house. I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, my lord, O king, the iniquity be on me and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, whosoever saith aught unto thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. Then she said, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revenger of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, as the Lord liveth, there shall not one heir of thy son fall to the earth. Are you there? In those days, anytime somebody says, one of your heir will not fall to the ground, what it means is nothing will hurt you. That's the meaning of that. It's like an idiomatic expression. Now let's continue. Then the woman said, let thy handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord the king. And he said, say on. And the woman said, wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God. For the king doeth speak this thing as one which is faulty, in that the king doeth not fetch home again is banished. Can you see that? So this woman came to cook up this story. He knew that David will not want, he knew that David will not, want his son to die. I mean, the son of the woman. Meanwhile, all these things were faked. The woman was just cooking up that story because he wanted to pass a message to the king. He now said, now, king, and this thing I'm saying now is relating to you. Why will you leave your son, Absalom? He is out of the kingdom. Whatever might have happened, king, let go of it. Bring in your son. Meanwhile, the heart of the son is already, the heart of the king is already longing for Absalom. So, Joab was just cooking up all these things so that he can, make it happen fast. Let's see what happens. For we must needs die, and are as water split on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doth God respect any person, yet does he devise means that is banished be not expelled from him. Now therefore that I am come to speak of this thing unto my lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. And thy handmaid said, I will not speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of this handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. Then thy handmaid said, the word of my lord the king shall now be comfortable. For as an angel of God, so is my lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore, the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, let my lord the king now speak. And the king said, is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? Can you see that? The king now said, please, this drama you just displayed before me now, make sure, I want to ask you a question. Don't lie. The king said, I will not lie. The woman said, I will not lie. Then the king said, are you sure this thing you are saying, Joab is not involved? Let me tell you something. Now, David has a lot of mighty men, but the craziest among them is Joab. Even the king is scared of Joab. He is so, if the king had his way, he would have just thrown Joab away. Because Joab was the one that went to kill Abner without telling the king. Look at what Joab is cooking up again. Now, Joab is that kind of servant that, he will not rebel against his master, like maybe kill him to take over the position. No, he won't do that. But he will be doing several terrible things. Are you there? He will just assume. Are you there? He will be assuming a lot of things on behalf of his master. There are people like Joab in this present world. They are ready to be your servant. They are not after your position. They want you to lead them. But they will assume a lot of things on your behalf. Are you there? So maybe as the owner of a school, and you have maybe one of your teachers is operating with the spirit of Joab. You just see that teacher suddenly telling the student to be paying a certain amount of money. You are not aware, and the student will start paying. And by the time the information gets to you, the owner of the school, and you bring the teacher and say, yes, I actually asked them to contribute this money because, the window of our class. That may actually be what they want to do. Are you there? But people like Joab, they don't really pass through the right route. They want to do something good, but they won't pass through the right route. So because the window of the class has been broken, can't you tell the school? Are you there? And they may say, well, the money I'm asking them to contribute, we need to buy a wall clock in the class. Are you there? What they want to do will be right, but they will do a lot of things without permission. People like that are working with the spirit of Joab. And sometimes people like that, they can confuse you. They can make leadership frustrating for you. Because they will have painted a picture to the people. Are you there? The people will think you are you are involved when you are not involved. They will do a lot of things behind you. Are you there? And the people will think you are involved when you know nothing about it. People like that are working with the spirit of Joab. All right, let's continue. And the king said, Is not the hand of Joab with thee in this? And the woman answered and said, As thy soul liveth, my lord the king, none can turn to the right hand or to the left from aught that my lord the king has spoken. For thy servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in the mouth of thy handmaid. Can you see? The woman said, Sir, you are right. Oh. It was Joab that told me to act like this. It's not like I'm mourning, no. All these things you are saying is just drama. Everything I said now is the one that asked me to say it. Let's continue. Verse 20. Now to fetch about this form of speech with thy servant Joab, done this thing. And my Lord is wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth. And the king said unto Joab, Behold, now I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absalom again. Can you see that? Joab brought up this idea so that the king can bring in Absalom again. I don't know the connection between Joab and Absalom. Maybe Joab had special love for Absalom. Anyway, Joab will love Absalom because Joab too is a crazy person. So both of them are crazy. Imagine somebody killing another person. You are killing someone, your fellow brother of the same father. You have got to kill the person. And now, of course, now Joab is now forming. He's having one special love. You know, the wicked will love the wicked. So I guess the wickedness of Absalom is what is relating with the wickedness of Joab. Maybe, for two people to be friends, they have to have something in common. So I think the love that Joab had for Absalom is wickedness. Both of them have this crazy attitude, so they can flow with each other. So the reason Joab was doing this is so that David can bring Absalom back to the territory, because of course the king knew that Absalom had run away. Are you there? And the king was not willing to bring Absalom back, though he longed to have him around, but he was still this disciplinarian person. Let him stay there. Let him suffer. But because of this that Joab has done, the king said, okay, go and bring Absalom again. Go and bring him. And Joab, the son of David, but Absalom was like a friend to Joab. Though Joab is older than Absalom, but to Joab felt there's no need keeping this boy out of the territory again. It's more than 2 years now. So let's forget about the past. And the king said, Let him turn to his own house, and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face. So what do you see here? David was a disciplinarian. David was a street father. That's the best thing to do. You killed your brother. No. David said, Go and bring him, but don't bring him to this palace. I don't want to see him. Don't let him see my face. Let him go to his house. Don't want to see him. That's being disciplined. Some people do not know that you can love a person and still be disciplined. Are you there? Love is not foolishness. When people do things that are wrong, let them know they are wrong. Are you there? Let them know they are wrong. We need to learn from David here. But in all Israel, there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot, even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. Can you see that? And, the Bible is now saying that in the entire land of Israel, Absalom had the greatest, I don't even know how to describe him now. Absalom was the most handsome. There was nobody that had the beauty of Absalom. So if you want to pick number one, even among the ladies, both female and male, number one in beauty is Absalom. So you could imagine how girls would be flocking around him, trying to be his wife. Even if you are not handsome, once you are from the lineage of a king, once you are a prince, being a prince alone is a beauty. Are you getting what I'm saying? Because even if you are not handsome, once you are a prince, girls want to be your wife because they know that they can end up becoming a queen one day. But Absalom, in addition to being a prince, he was loaded with beauty. Physically, Absalom is that kind of man you look at and you won't know when you will go and hit your leg on, you got to hit your leg on a stone because you are carried away by the beauty. But it was beautiful outwards. But was it beautiful inwards? That's it. That's it. And when he pulled his head, for it was at every year's end that he pulled it, because the air was very heavy on him. Therefore he pulled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. Can you see that? So, Absalom is also this person that understands fashion. Very, this fashionista. He wants to wear a black top and a black trouser and a black shoe with a black wristwatch with a black cap and a black sheet. He has the money to do that. Of course, he's a prince. And he's going to carry a black bag. So when you see Absalom putting on blue top, you expect that the shoe will be blue, the bag will be blue, the rituals will be blue, even the glasses will be blue, then with a blue cap. Everything is matching. That's Absalom for you. And when you see his clothes, always ironed, the gaiters are standing. Are you there? The lips are pink lips. Everything about Absalom is attractive. The style of hair on his head is another thing entirely. And unto Absalom there were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of a fair countenance. Can you see that? So she, Absalom had 3 sons and 1 daughter. This daughter now took the beauty of Absalom. The Bible says she was a woman of fair countenance, meaning she was very beautiful too, just like the father. So Absalom dwelt full 2 years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. Can you see that? David was very street father. Personally, I love that kind of streetness. When people are wrong, let them know they are wrong. This part of David, I love it. This part of, I love this one. Absalom was there for 2 years and the king did not see him. He was doing his own, the king. It is not malice. Somebody is thinking of, is that not malice? It's not malice. It's being disciplined. If you are keeping malice, you see, a king cannot even keep malice with you. Are you there? If a king does not like you, you are dead. It won't take time. We just call one of the soldiers, bring that woman here. Hello, I don't like you. Oh, yeah, cut his head. Cut her head. That's all. A king in those days cannot keep malice with anybody. That's it. So don't even think of, okay, the king is keeping malice with Absalom. No way. If a king does not like you, you are dead. That's it. So for him to say, don't see my face, and Absalom did not see the face of his father for 2 years, is not because of malice. It's because of discipline. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again the second time, he would not come. Therefore he said unto his servant, see, Joab's field is near mine, and he hath barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servant set the field on fire. Can you see that? Wickedness. I told you. Though Absalom has beauty, but he is a wicked man. He sent for Joab. Joab, you are the one that spoke to my father to bring me. Please come, let's talk. Joab did not come. He sent for Joab again the second time. Please come, let's talk. Joab did not come. Can you see that? That means Joab also was a street man. For the fact that he wanted Absalom to come does not mean that. Though Joab too has his own weakness anyway. But of course Joab is older than Absalom. Joab is also like a father to Absalom. Are you getting what I'm saying? So Joab, for the fact that Joab was the one that arranged the return of Absalom, does not mean Joab also is supporting that terrible thing that Absalom did. And that was why when Absalom sent for him twice, he did not come. To show that though I'm the one that arranged for your return, but I'm not in support of your actions. So Joab did not come because Joab was faithful to the king. You see, I hope you understand. You see, Joab had his own side that is not good. But at the same time, Joab was a faithful servant. I told you. I said, when you have servants like Joab, they will be faithful to you. Are you there? They are not after, they are not thinking of taking over from you. They are not thinking of stealing from you. Are you there? But once in a while, they can act. Are you there? When you have not given them instruction. And the reason they will even do those things is because they feel it will help you. But at the end, you may now, for instance now, why did Joab kill Abner without telling David? Joab felt this Abner may end up killing the king without knowing. So that was why he killed. But he did not know that now Abner is not like that. Are you there? So it was still in a bit of trying to protect the king. So people like Joab, if you have them as your servant and you are the leader, they will do a lot of funny things that you may not even like because they are trying to protect you. Are you getting it? All right. So Joab did not go to Absalom because he was also supporting that action of the king. What you did is wrong. I need to show you that you are wrong. So even if you call me, I will not come. So you know what Absalom now did? Absalom said, well, I have sent for this man Joab 2 times. He's not coming. No problem. His farm is close to my own farm. So please go to his farm. Go and set his farm on fire. Can you see what Absalom is doing now? Go and set his farm on fire. I know when he sees his farm on fire, he will come to this place. And Joab arose and came to Absalom. Can you see that? And unto his house and said unto him, wherefore have thy servant set my field on fire? Can you see that? When Joab now saw that his field is on fire, he left wherever he was. He came to Absalom. And Absalom answered Joab, behold, I sent unto thee, saying, come hither, that I may send thee to the king, to say, wherefore I am come from Geshur. It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore, let me see the king's face. If there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. Are you there? That was what Absalom was trying to. He said, now I've returned from Geshur. For the past 2 years, I've not even seen the face of my father. What's the meaning of all this? It's better for me not even to even come here. It's better not to come. Now I'm here for 2 years. I've not even seen the face of my father. Take me to my father. If he wants to kill me, let him kill me there. So Joab came to the king and told him. And when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself to his face, and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king. And the king kissed Absalom. Can you see that? So when Joab left, he went to tell the king, this is what your son is. This is what your son wants to. He's not happy how that he has been here for 2 years and you have not seen him. So the king now said, okay, go and call him for me. When he came, the Bible said he kissed him, meaning he embraced him. He embraced him. That's how a father is. When you discipline the child, you must also learn to embrace them, correct them, and show them love. The word kiss there means a show of love. I know what you have done is wrong, and I've corrected you, I've disciplined you. So the next thing is what? To show love. This is the book of Samuel, part 46. And then we'll be looking at 2 Samuel, chapter 15, from verse 1. And it came to pass, after this, that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, of what city art thou? And he said, thy servant is one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, see, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. And Absalom said, moreover, oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man will hath any suit or cause might come unto me, and I will do him justice. Now, in the previous chapter, we saw how that the king embraced Absalom. When you do something wrong and you are shown love, the show of love is not to strengthen you in that your wrong act. The show of love is to help you not to go back to that act. That's what some of us do not know. You did something wrong, people show you love, and you continue doing it. It's a sign that you lack wisdom. The love that brethren show to those who are wrong is not to sponsor errors. No, is to cancel it. We must understand the love language that we receive from brethren. Absalom was shown love by his father, but unfortunately, he did not interpret the love properly. So the next thing he wanted to do now is to take over the kingdom from his father. He prepared chariots. He went to the city, where people, like the gates, the center of attraction. So anybody coming to the king, bringing case, because in those days, a king, once you become a king, you double as a judge. That's it. All kings are judges. So when the people have issues, they come to the king will now, okay, this one is right, this one is wrong. So what Absalom was now doing is, all the people that were coming to the king, Absalom will now stop them. Where are you? Where are you coming from? Then he will tell them, see, the king does not have time for you. He doesn't have time for you. But people like me now, if I become king, I will do you well. So he's trying to convince the people. He's trying to make the people hate his father so that they can sponsor him. And that thing he's doing is rebellion. He wants to divide, he wants to divide the kingdom of his father. Let's see how far he will go in this wicked act. And it was so that when any man come near to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. Are you there? So at a point, people now began to see him as king. David was there, but it was so much, engrossed with that rebellion that some people are now beginning to see him as, are you there? Meanwhile, naturally, since he's a prince, people will honor him. So the honor of a prince and then the honor he was able to steal by defaming or, by bringing his father's reputation into the mud. Because what he's trying to do is he wants to paint his father as the bad person. Then he wants to get the picture of the good one so that people can, reject his father and, prefer him as their king. Okay. Verse 6. And on this manner did Absalom, and on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. Can you see that? Absalom was there for days, for months, convincing the people. And the Bible said it got to a point he was able to steal the heart of the men of Israel, meaning he was able to convince the people of Israel, the men. And when you talk about men, you're talking about the strongholds. That means now at this point, Absalom have some soldiers that are working for him. He has some counselors that are working for him. And even some of the chiefs that are close to David are now beginning to work for Absalom. So the kingdom of David is now divided. And don't forget, all these problems started because David killed Uriah. I tell you the truth, the greatest mistake that David made during his reign as a king was killing Uriah, because that was what led to the major issues of his life. So at this point, Absalom have been able to win the heart of the men of Israel. So there are some people now, they no longer see, there are some people who do no longer see David as king. They see Absalom as king. So the numbers of people that comes to the king are now reduced because most of them are now going to Absalom. You get what I'm saying? All right, verse 7. And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow that I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode in Geshur in Syria, saying, if the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. Can you see that? After 40 years of Absalom trying to convince the people, he now came to the king and said, please, I want to go to Geshur. I made a vow, I told the Lord I'm going to serve him, blah, blah, blah. He said good things before his father because he knows once David hear things like, my son wants to serve the Lord, of course he cannot say no. So he used that to secure the king's permission to leave the territory. Are you seeing that? There are sons who are also like Absalom. Are you there? Anytime they want their parents to do what they want, because they know their parents are Christians, so they will now begin to act like children of God. They can say, Mommy, I'm going to Bible study. They know their parents love those things. But in the real sense, they are just pretending. And this is what Absalom is doing. He says, my father, I already made a vow to the Lord that I'm going to serve him. So please, I need to go there to go and redeem my vow, to go. And David said, of course, people like David will not say no to anything that has to do with God. Let's continue. Verse 10. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, as soon as ye hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. Can you see that? That Absalom was going to, he was not actually going for the vow. He lied to the king. He wanted to start becoming king from Hebron. Don't forget that that was similar to David's story too. David did not suddenly become the king of the whole Israel. He started from Hebron. Absalom also wanted to go to Hebron, the base, and start from there. So he lied to his father in order to overthrow him. Let's see what happens. Verse 12. Okay. Verse 11. And before I continue, the plan was Absalom already sent spies to all the 12 tribes of Israel. And he told them, he said, the moment you hear the sound of the trumpet, just shout, Absalom reigns as king. They want to plan a coup. Such that they will just suddenly take over the kingdom from David. And there will be nothing David can do about it. Verse 11. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem. Can you see that? He has been able to convince a lot of people. Soldiers are now working for him. Counselors are working for him. Government officials are working for him. And all these things are happening secretly. David was not aware. Why? Because even those who are supposed to tell David are now working for Absalom. So everybody are now, everybody is keeping it secret. Can you see that? Betrayal. All right, verse 11. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. Can you see that? Now, these 200 men were called by Absalom. The Bible now told us that these 200 men, they actually went in their simplicity. They did not know anything. Are you there? Now, the truth is this, though Absalom is winning the heart of the people of Israel, but the people of Israel love David. So for some of them, he was able to win their heart, but for some that he could not win their heart, he deceived them. Like these 200 men now, he has not been able to win their heart. So they followed him by deception. It's just like somebody said, okay, let's go to a party. Meanwhile, it's not really party. So everyone that follows such a person, hoping they are going for the party, are being deceived. That's what Absalom did here. Oh, let's go. So the 200 men followed him, not knowing that Absalom had a different plan. Verse 12. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gileonite, David's counselor. Can you see that? Absalom now called David's counselor from the city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. Can you see that? Every day, people that were supporting Absalom were increasing. They were increasing in numbers. So this increment in numbers is now giving Absalom, the boldness to continue. His strength is not in God. His strength is in the people. The strength of Absalom is in the multitude of people he can gather. Can you see? And, okay, verse 13, and there came a messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. Now, this is where the news came to David now. The news came to David in verse 13. Meanwhile, everything has started from verse 1. Can you see? It is almost too late. And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Arise, let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servant said unto the king, Behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint. Can I say that? It was so strong that David had to escape a whole king. What does it mean? That means most of the soldiers that David gathered are now working for Absalom. Because if that was not the case, then it would have been easy for David to just say, okay, gather the men and then go after him. But he could not say gather the men. Why? Because even David knew that his armies are now divided. Most of them are now working for Absalom. So to say gather the men to fight Absalom is another thing entirely. Are you seeing this now? So a son now chased his father from the throne. So because of Absalom now, David had to escape from the palace. And the king went forth, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. So David left the place with his wives, but he left 10 of his concubines to stay in the palace, so that the place will not be empty. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Sherethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men, which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Then said the king to Hittai of Gittite, Wherefore goest thou also with us? Return to thy place and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger and also an exile, whereas thou comest but yesterday. Should I this day make thee go up and down with us, seeing I go whither I may? Return thou and take back thy brethren. Mercy and truth be with thee. And Ittai answered, and Ittai answered the king and said, As the Lord liveth, as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will thy servants be. There are still people who were loyal to David. One of them is the man called, uh, is this man that the Bible is referring to here as the king of, as the king of Ittai. Are you seeing that? David told him to go back, but he said, No, I will follow you. Wherever you go is where I will go. Where you die is where I will die. Now let's continue. Verse 22, and David said to Ittai, all right, Ittai is not a king. Let's correct that. Are you there? Ittai is one of the faithful servants who was willing to die with David. So King David told Ittai to go back, but Ittai said, No, wherever you go, that's where I will go. Where you die is where I want to die. So Ittai is one of those faithful servants that David had. Verse 23, and all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over, and the king also himself passed over the brook Kidron, and all the people passed over towards the way of the wilderness. And lo, Zadok also, and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God, and they set down the ark of God. And Abittai went up until all the people had done passing out of the city. And the king said unto Zadok, Carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again and show me both it and its habitation. But if he does say, I have no delight in thee, behold, here am I, let him do to me as seemeth good unto him. And the king said unto Zadok the priest, Art thou not a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness until there come word from you to satisfy me. Zadok therefore and Abiathar tarried, and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem and tarried there. Now, while David was running away, the priest decided to also move the ark to follow him because the ark actually represents the presence of God. But David said, no, there's no need. Don't let the ark stay in its place. Let the ark stay in its place. I know that if God wants me to still be a king, of course he will bring me back. And if he doesn't want me to be a king, so be it. Are you there? David knew that all these things happening to him were the consequences of his action. So he knew that God is dealing with him. Are you there? So he understands what is happening. That's why you see him talking like that. So well, if God wants me to be a king, of course he will bring me back. And if not, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Verse 29. Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet, and wept as he went up. Now, as David was climbing the mountain, he was crying. Now, the name of the mountain is Olivet. Are you there? So, as he was climbing that mountain, he was crying. Why? He was worried. How can my son chase me from the throne? This has never happened before. What kind of shameful thing is this? So he was climbing the mountain and he was crying. He was coming to the presence, he was crying. Can you say that? That's the life of a child of God. Whatever happens, the only person you can run to is God. David was in a sad state, he was in trouble. Yet, even in his tears, he was still going after God. He was still going to God. And the Christians are not those people that when things are hard, they have alternatives. No. Children of God are those that are stable. When things are hard, the only person they can go to is still God. After God, for a child of God, is still God. It's from God to God, to God, to God, and to God. Are you there? That's one thing to learn from David here. He was climbing the mountain, crying, yet he did not stop. Now, the question is, what did he want to go and do on the mountain? He is going there to meet with God. He does not have any other option. That's one thing that distinguishes David from Saul. If it is Saul now, Saul would have consulted one sorcerer somewhere. But for David, it has to be God. No other option. All right, let's continue. And as one told David, and one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel to foolishness. Do you know why David prayed this prayer? Ahithophel is that man that is very wise. You see, if Ahithophel gives you counsel, the Bible says the counsel of Ahithophel is like God advising a person. So that was why the moment David heard that Ahithophel is part of those people working for Absalom, I said, Lord, please. It was when David heard that Ahithophel is part, he had to quickly make a prayer. Because even David knew how deadly it would be for Ahithophel to rebel against him. So he said, Lord, please, turn the counsel of Ahithophel to foolishness. Now, when God turns the counsel of a person to foolishness, what does it mean? It does not necessarily mean that the person will speak foolishness. No. What that means is that though the person is speaking wisdom, but the receiver will see it as foolishness. That's what it means. For instance, if I give a right counsel to a person, and the person decides not to follow the counsel I've given to him or her, though the counsel is right, it means that that counsel has been turned to foolishness. Because for you to take a counsel, for you to embrace a particular counsel, you must see it as wise. The reason we do not take counsel is because we have not seen that as wisdom. Are you getting what I'm saying? All right, let's continue. Verse 32. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount, where he worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Hakkite came to meet him with his coat rent and hat upon his head. Are you there? Anytime you see some people renting their clothes and putting hats upon their head, hat here means sand. So when something terrible happens, people will tear their clothes. That's what it means to rent your clothes. To rent your clothes is actually to tear your clothes. So when something bad happens, people will rent their clothes, they will tear their clothes, and then they will put hat on their head, meaning they will put sand on their head. So once you see a person with a torn cloth and with sand on the head, you know this person, something bad has happened. That's the sign in those days. All right, let's continue. Unto whom David said, If thou passest on with me, then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city, and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been with thy father, as I have been with thy father's servant Ahithophel, so will I now also be thy servant. Then mayest Ahithophel thou for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. Verse 35. As thou and as thou not there with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priest, therefore it shall be that what thing soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priest. Behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them ye shall send unto me everything that ye can hear. Can you see that? So this man that came to David now with this mourning countenance, David now said, Don't worry, don't mourn. What you will do now is don't follow me, because you cannot fight. If you follow me now, you'll be a burden. So what David meant by saying you'll be a burden to me is that the man is not a warrior. If anything happens now, they can just kill him anyhow. So he said, if you follow me, you'll be a burden to me, because you have not been trained to fight. So what you do is go to Absalom. Go and submit to him. Tell him that you have left me, that you want to serve him. So by so doing, whatever they are saying there, you will be sending the information to me through the priest. Can you see the strategy now? Behold, they have there with them. Okay, I've read that. So verse 37, the last verse. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. Can you see that? So that man called Hushai was actually David's friend. But David did not allow him to follow him because he knew he cannot fight. He's not trained for war. So he said, You go and submit to my son, so that you can be our spy there. Whatever they want to do, whatever step they want to take, you will be sending us information. Can you see that? You see, a child that lacks the fear of God will become a problem to the parents. The greatest gift you can give to your children is to inject into them the fear of God. A child that does not have the fear of God will not give you rest. Are you there? Once, by the grace of God, you are able to imbibe, to put into your children the fear of the Lord, you have secured rest for yourself, both now and in time to come. Are you there? Some parents do not have peace, they do not have rest, especially from their children, because they have not trained them to have the fear of God. They send them to school, spend money on them, buy things for them, give them good food, but they have not learned to teach them the fear of God. You are listening to me now, whether you are a parent or you are young, you must understand that the primary responsibility you have as a parent is to train your children to fear the Lord. This is the book of Samuel, part 47. And then we'll be looking at 2 Samuel chapter 16 from verse 1. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. And the king said unto Ziba, What meanest thou by this? And Ziba said, These asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and the summer fruits for the young men to eat, and the wine that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. And the king said, And where is thy master's son? And Ziba said unto the king, Behold, he abideth at Jerusalem. For he said, Today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. Can you see that? Now, before I proceed to verse 4, I want you to see what happened there. This Ziba, if you can remember very well, he is the servant of Mephibosheth. He was there when David called, David made a decree, said, okay, is there anybody else in the house of Saul that I may show kindness, that I may show kindness to? So they brought Mephibosheth, and David showed kindness. He blessed Mephibosheth, brought Mephibosheth to the palace, are you there? And also made him wealthy. Now in the time of trouble now, is now this same Mephibosheth that is now sending his servant to supply food, drinks, fruits to David. Can you see now? One good turn deserves another. The person you are helping today may now be the reason you will survive tomorrow. That's the truth. See that brother that does not have transport fare? That one that used to ask you for things. If you have, don't stop being a blessing. Are you there? A time is coming that you will reap the reward of that good thing you are doing. It may not really be from the person you are helping, but according to the law of life, if you sow, you must reap. Are you there? That's it. So look at this now. The same, that Mephibosheth now is now the one that is now sustaining that minute at the point where David needs help. It was the food, the drinks, the bread, are you there? The asses that was sent by Mephibosheth through Ziba that now sustained David. A time is coming where you will not be able to walk as you are doing now. But in that season, it is the good works you have done that will now begin to sustain you. Please think about that. Verse 4. Then said the king to Ziba, Behold, thine are all that pertained unto Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beseech thee that I may find grace in thy sight, my lord, O king. And when the king came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed till as he came, and he cast stones at David, and at all the servants of David, and all the people, and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And thus says Shimei when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Gilead. Can you see that? While David was moving with his mighty men, are you there? There was this man called Shimei. This man is from the house of Saul. I don't know, for whatever reason he's acting stupid. Maybe because he felt David did not show kindness to him while he was king or something. Maybe because he felt David was responsible for the death of Saul. Well, for whatever reason, this place shows clearly that Shimei was against David. He was throwing stone at David, was placing curses on him, calling him a bloody man, calling him a man of Belial. Are you getting it? Let's see what happens. Please take note that David was moving with his mighty men. Now, look at this. Why did you think David ran from the palace? Because obviously David has mighty men. Are you there? Why did you think he ran from the palace? Because he was actually moving with his mighty men. The Bible told us here that the mighty men were with him. Are you there? It was still the heart of a father. Because if David wants to take it hot the way Absalom is taking it, it will have been a bloody fight. And I'm sure Absalom will not win. Because one of David's mighty men is enough. Even Joab is enough to finish everything, to kill all of them. But David will not want to spill more blood. Can you see that? Sometimes, you see, the one that is the strongest may be the one to retreat. Not everybody that retreats from battle is retreating because of weakness. No. Sometimes what makes you to fear is strength. You may not believe, but that's the truth. Sometimes what makes you to surrender in battle is wisdom. That's it. So David was not running because he's a coward. That's it. Because he knew most of those people who are with Absalom are just doing it because they lack wisdom. They are doing it out of ignorance. Are you there? So David's thought is, how will I fight with Absalom? If I fight with him now, who are we going to kill? We will kill him. Who are the men that are with him? They are all people from Israel. And David is the king of Israel. So if he fights Absalom, he will still end up killing the people he's supposed to be ruling over. So that's why he decided to run. Because he cannot watch himself killing the people he's supposed to rule over as a king. So he decided to run. So the running away of David is not out of cowardness. No. It's a sign of strength. By wisdom, you understand that. All right, let's continue. And then Shimei, when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man. That was what Shimei was saying to David. Thou bloody man, thou man of Belial, the Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul. Can you see? This was the offense that Shimei held against David. Shimei felt David is responsible for the death of Saul, even for the death of Jonathan. He felt all the evils that happened in the house of Saul was planned by David. So he was now unleashing his anger. And the Lord had delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man. That's what Shimei is saying. He said, now, good for you. Your son has now taken over your kingdom. Yes, the evil you have done to the house of Saul has come over your head. Can you see that? The man, if you look at Shimei now, Shimei will think he has words to say. He doesn't know he's acting from foolishness. See, some of those people who talk so much, who talk a lot, are actually speaking from ignorance. Those people who are truly wise, they don't talk much. This man was busy talking. David was quiet. Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto David, the king, why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. So one of David's mighty men now said, sir, please, enough of all this nonsense. If you can take it, me, I can't take it again. Just give me permission. I assure you, sir, one attempt is enough. This boy's head will leave his head. This boy's head will leave his neck. Just give me permission. Let's see what David said. And the king said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord had said unto me, because the Lord has said unto him, curse David. Who shall then say, wherefore hast thou done so? Can you see that? David said, what's my business with you, Abishai? Let him do whatever he wants to do to me. God has given him the permission. Who am I to ask him to stop? So David saw all those, the misbehaviors of Shimei as God still disciplined, still correcting him. He saw those things that Shimei was doing as part of his punishment for killing Uriah. So he said, don't worry, leave him, leave him, leave him. Let him continue. And God has given him the privilege to do this to me. So let him do it. Let him enjoy himself. Verse 12. It may be that the Lord will look upon my affliction, and that the Lord will requite me good for his cursing this day. He said, please leave him. Maybe if the Lord looks at what he's doing to me, and the Lord sees the way I'm not responding, though I have the power to kill him, but if the Lord sees how meek I have been towards this ignorant man, maybe the Lord will look at me by mercy and have compassion on me. So David put up that meekness, hoping to secure the mercy of God. And as David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hillside over against them, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him and cast the dust. So as they were going, Shimei did not stop. So, this is how it is. David and his men, they were walking on the ground, but Shimei was standing on the hill. It happens to be that this place they were passing has a long hill. Are you there? This place they were passing has hill. Are you there? On the side. So there's this long hill. So David and his men, they were on the ground. Are you there? But Shimei was walking on the hill. It's just like somebody walking on a fence. So you are walking on the ground, but somebody is walking on the fence, is now throwing stone at you. Are you getting what I'm saying? So this is the picture of what is happening here. So as they were going, Shimei did not stop. He was placing curses on David, throwing stone at him, and throwing dust on him. But since David had already told his men to leave him, they don't have a choice. Though I know people like Joab will be very angry. I just hope I can kill this. But they cannot do anything because the king have not given them permission. And the king and all the people that were with him came weary and refreshed. Themselves there. And Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. And it came to pass, when Hushai, the Archite, David's friend, was come unto Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, God save the king. God save the king. Can you see that? Hushai knows that, he knows that, Hushai knows that Absalom is hungry for power. So when he saw him, he said, long live the king, long live the king. I know, he knows that by doing that, Absalom will feel good. Meanwhile, don't forget the plan. David sent Hushai, so that whatever they are doing, Hushai can be giving him feedback, because Hushai is David's friend, and he's not ready, he's not willing to betray David for any reason. And Absalom said unto Hushai, is this thy kindness to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with thy friend? And Hushai, can you see that Absalom knew, they were so close in friendship that even Absalom knew that Hushai was David's friend. So he was now asking, is this how you want to show kindness to my father? I thought you were his friend. Why didn't you go with him? Let's listen to the response. And Hushai said unto Absalom, nay, but whom the Lord and these people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him I will abide. And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son, as I have served in thy father's presence? So will I be in thy presence. Can you see that? So Hushai was telling Absalom, those sweet words. No, I'm tired of serving your father. Now I want to serve you as the king. Verse 20. Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, give counsel among you what we shall do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, go in unto thy father's concubine, which he had left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art, and all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house. And Absalom went in unto his father's concubine in the sight of all Israel. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired the oracle of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. Can you see that? When they needed advice, so Absalom now turned to Ahithophel because, of course, Absalom knew Ahithophel is like a god. When it comes to counsel, his words never falls to the ground. So Ahithophel said, well, what you will do now is, you see those 10 concubines that your father left in the palace? Go and sleep with them. And this sex you're about to have now, don't do it in the house. Put your bed on the rooftop where everybody can see you. Now begin to have sex with them one after the other. By so doing, your people will be made stronger. And what did Absalom do? He did exactly what Ahithophel said. That is ritual for power. So when you see people who can do anything for power, who will not even mind killing people, it is not starting from now. It has started before. This thing that Absalom did here was the ritual for power. He was willing to have sex with his father's wife just to gain power. Can you see that? You see, if you cannot wait on God to get what God can give, you can end up with the devil. Your desperacy is what the devil needs to drive you out of the will of God. You need money. You don't have to be desperate. Wait on God. Let God give you counsel. Let God direct you. Once you become desperate, you become vulnerable to the devil. Are you getting what I'm saying? May the Lord help us.